Today, I want to discuss the verbally abusive man that is hiding in plain sight all over the internet and in many women's relationships. The ladies don't realize, though, that that's what's going on. I'm here to provide you with an alert. Now, of course, there's no way to know the specifics of each and every man. I'm not going to even attempt to do that. I'm giving you some highlights, some overviews, and to kind of alert you to what kind of dramas that a woman may experience, because the man that you're with or the man that you're interacting with online is really angry at some other woman, but he takes it out on any female he comes across. Most psychologists feel that, especially when you're dealing with a relatively young man, 30 years of age or under, that the person that they're really angry at is their mother. And this is a standard psychological analysis. It's nothing unique, and it's nothing I made up. So, ladies, you're interacting with some guy like that, and he's just coming across as pissed at the world, every single female in it. You got to look at his relationship with his mother and what she did or did not do to or with him while he was growing up. So we really don't know why he is the way that he is. All we know is that this deep-seated anger that thousands of, especially black men, because that's what we black African American women primarily interact with, is African American men. Their anger is insidious. They rant, they rave, they criticize and condemn everything there is to condemn or analyze or criticize about black women. Why do they do this? Their conversation is designed strictly to chip away at women's self-confidence and self-esteem, so that the females listening to this garbage will feel as low and negative about themselves as he does about himself. That is the sole reason for this behavior. Now, I'm not charging every male that, some guys may occasionally do something like that. I'm talking occasionally. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the guys that do this consistently, repeatedly, overwhelmingly, and in a fixated manner. That's all they talk about. Now, I've noticed that very often their reaction is a knee-jerk response to frustration at never being able to get the woman they want. They've been rejected repeatedly. They're angry about that, of course. They could also be the hurt of failed relationships and the disappointment they suffered. It could also reflect their fears about women, their rage at women for denying them pussy and time and energy and dates and everything else that they wanted from women. So even though they're angry at women for denying them these things, they also desire women. So this puts them in a very unique and frustrating position. I can understand why, they would be a little upset, but their resulting behavior, of course, is not going to bring about the change in their lives and the women that they seek to acquire. It's not going to happen. So it really doesn't matter why they do what they do, nor does it matter if the undercover abuse is intentional or not. The damage to a woman's self-esteem and her emotional stability, if she listens to that bullshit, is still the same, and it can be quite considerable. Black women should not take to heart the criticisms of toxic black men online or the ones in their personal lives, which could include husbands, boyfriends, family members, bosses, co-workers, any of that. You put them on ignore. Men that you don't know and obviously do not care about, or they don't care about you, should definitely not be given the weight of any kind of weight. So I'm not sure why so many women do this, but I'm here to tell y'all that you need to stop doing it. Women that romantically keep getting involved with these undercover abusive men typically have experienced some domestic violence or abuse in their own childhoods. That's why they're drawn to these kinds of guys. Now, repeated exposure to domestic violence that you may have witnessed, like between your parents or, maybe you were in foster care, whatever. You saw it in your environment while you were growing up. Some of the women that are drawn to guys that are verbally abusive suffered sexual abuse or battery themselves. So those women tend to normalize these abusive behaviors in their adult relationships. They don't see these things as a problem that a healthy woman would. So, a lady that's not used to looking at this kind of stuff or being treated in this way can easily and very quickly recognize these behaviors and draw, her own really healthy boundaries about accepting this kind of stuff. And the problem is, though, that verbal abuse, psychological types of abuse, are much more insidious and hard to recognize. We all know physical abuse, the slapping, the pinching, the pushing around, the arm twisting, all this. Everybody knows what that looks like. But women from an abusive background are not usually as alert to more subtle signs of psychological and verbal abuse. So what I want to do today is kind of go over some of those points so that you can recognize them when you see them, because really you want to be able to recognize a guy that exhibits this kind of nonsensical behavior so that you can extricate yourself from the relationship excuse me, before you get too deeply involved. You want to watch out for men that criticize you about your positive traits. But their goal is to keep you in your place. They don't want you to feel too good about yourself. The things that you like about yourself, or the things that other people compliment you on, he will negate them, downplay them, or tease you about them. He'll ridicule you. His goal is to make you feel small, incapable, and not good enough. The same thing he feels about himself. You want to watch out for guys that criticize and condemn all women of a particular race. They'll come up with these negative, broad, sweeping generalizations, especially when the woman he's speaking about is the same race that he is. You really want to just put them on ignore for real. Watch out for men that drink too much or do drugs. That gives him a ready excuse to hurt you. See, since he's under the influence, you really can't hold him responsible for anything he did or said that hurt you, made you cry, whatever. He was drunk, he was high, he didn't know what he was doing. You want to watch out for guys that make promises that they rarely, if ever, keep. If you're constantly feeling disappointed and you feel like you're alone in your endeavors, you're feeling insecure, you're feeling stressed, and he does nothing to assist you, he promises that he's going to, but he really doesn't, he never comes through for you. Another one. That is psychological abuse. A man that keeps you on pins and needles with wild mood swings. Again, the goal here is to keep you off center, to make you feel insecure, to have you jumping through hoops, because you want to try to do everything you can to keep him calm and to make him predictable. What you really need to do is put that nigga on ignore. You want to watch for the guys that constantly tell you stuff that kind of make you feel like you can never be successful. These are men that want to make you feel insecure about yourself and your ability to achieve. He wants you to believe that you can't make it without his help, even though, of course, he promises to give it and he never does. So you see how that goes? You've caught in this vicious cycle. His real goal is he wants you to feel like he wants to feel rather that he will have more control over you and that you won't leave him if you feel that you can't be successful and achieve anything without his help. The same help that he never gives you. Some of these guys want to control who your friends are, your comings, your goings, your clothes. He'll act jealous and stupid. You'll be seeking his approval, and you don't want to see him upset, of course, because that's somebody you care about. So you'll do what he tells you. But the more control you give him, the worse he is. You want to avoid guys that disrespect you or people that you care about. He'll put you in a position of having to defend and explain your actions, or to defend people that are near and dear to you. You don't want to do that. You want someone who accepts you exactly the way that you are. Watch out for guys that put you down, either publicly or privately. This is very prevalent on the online, the guys that you will come across online. They will attack you. They will call you names. They will insult your hair, your face, your figure, your age, anything they can do, because they don't really know you. But their whole goal is to undermine your confidence, undermine your credibility, and to attempt to humiliate you in public. You want to avoid them at all costs. These are toxic men. They're no good for themselves, and they're certainly no good for you. If you have a man in your private life that violates the rights and boundaries of you or other people, in other words, he shows no concern for what you want. Some of them grab your body after you say no. These are the kind of guys that try to force hugs and kisses on children. They try to play with people in ways that are overly familiar, and they cause a person to feel small or controlled. You want to watch for guys that are irresponsible with your property or that take your property altogether. Dudes that display streaks of meanness towards others for no valid reason, totally uncalled for commentary, that feel threatened by your friendships or relationships with other people, especially men, that persistently tell lies that they pass off as a joke. They say everything, you say, that's not true. Oh, well, I was just kidding. And that comes up all the time. How can you ever trust that what he tells you is true? So what he evokes is a constant feeling of insecurity. He draws you further and further away from him emotionally with all these quote jokes, but he doesn't want to accept that. You'll see guys that exhibit just what I call a shocking lack of self-control, and somehow it becomes your fault that he's out of control. They blame you for everything. They say or do hurtful things that tell you what you shouldn't be so sensitive. You shouldn't be so girly. Basically what they do is discount your feelings as a person and as a woman. He implies that he has carte blanche to do and say whatever he pleases, and you have to take it, or it means you don't love him. Some of these men will run away. They'll turn away and abandon you when you need them the most. In my mind, a partnership is supposed to be a support system for both people, not just meet the needs of one. So women, if you recognize any of these signs in any relationships that you have with a male, you got to stop rationalizing it, stop providing him with ready-made excuses and justifications for his negative behavior. It's not normal, it's not healthy, and it's not okay. So if you've seen even one trait of this the abusive behaviors that I listed above in this recording, no matter how small it is, you need to remind yourself that what he did to you is cruel, that man is an abusive fool, and his behavior is totally unacceptable. Now, you pay attention to these kind of things with any new guy that you meet. You'll be able to speak up and defend yourself. You'll be more assertive, and you'll be able to eliminate these types of guys from your life immediately. You can then try to do things that treat yourself better. You'll spend your time interacting with men that will treat you with the courtesy and the respect and the dignity that you as a black woman deserve. My name is Deborrah Cooper. I'm an advice columnist on survivingdating.com, and I welcome your comments.